Hello again. I want to walk us through some of the graphic organizers that we would have been using. This one is a story map, and it's a little different than what I had intended for you, but it will get the idea across. The story map is simply working with what is called story grammar. I've got the window open behind me and there's that sun right there. It's story grammar. The setting, the characters, the problem, the solution. The difference here is in this particular graphic organizer, we are also adding themes, the theme of a personal truth, a universal truth. What were the themes that were brought out? What were the perhaps um, moral kind of things that came out of it? This is much different because it goes a little deeper than simply story grammar. When you are teaching story grammar, in particular problem solution, the most difficult part of this for your students is going to be going from the problem to the solution. They can get the problem, and in every story, there are multiple issues, so you choose one. But if we make our problem up here, if we would type in the Nazis were rounding up the Jews, and then we make our solution that Ellen was got safely to Sweden, that the solution does not solve the problem of the Nazis rounding up the Jews. Students have a very hard time with that. You have to narrow the problem to something that can be resolved through events, text evidence, from one point to the next. This is the most difficult part of what you will be working with your students when you're working with story grammar. The characters, the setting, the plot, the those kinds of things are pretty in your face. You can find those pretty much anywhere. But going from the problem to the solution is the most difficult for your students to accomplish. Now, another graphic organizer here that does, that's not what I wanted, sorry. Go away, move that, move this back up here. Where are my PDFs? No, I don't want that one. I want the story pyramid. The story pyramid is another graphic organizer for story grammar. But this is much more difficult, and it leaves out the values or the personal pieces that the story map involves. The story pyramid, you use one word to name the main character, so you choose a main character here. 2 words to describe the main character, 3 words to describe the setting, 4 words to state the problem. Here we go again. What is the problem? The number 4 here, 4 words to describe the problem. At the bottom, 8 words to state the solution. But the solution has to be the solution that matches the problem. And then 5 words for an event, 6 words for an event, 7 words for an event that lead from the problem to the solution. This is much more difficult than it looks. Now, my question for you, and there's a sample here at the bottom. This will all be up on Facebook, or not Facebook, on Blackboard. My question for all of you is, yes, this is an involved one that you can use with a literature study. Could you use this or the story map or the alpha boxes or any of these things with first graders or second graders? The answer, I hope you're finding yourself nodding your head saying, yes, we could start with first grade right up here and we stop here. They could name a main character, describe the character, and what was the setting. They could do that. We could skip the problem solution for now with this. The idea here with all of these strategies is you ratchet them up or you ratchet them down depending on the grade level. please don't think that just because these kids are first graders or second graders or third graders, they can't do some of these things. We have to start teaching these children these strategies and teach them early on, so they have them as they go forward. The next strategy here is called the somebody wanted but so then. So what we're doing is we're looking for problems. This gives you the idea here that somebody who was a main character, this gives you the example of the big bad wolf, wanted pigs for dinner. But here's the problem. They kept hiding in new homes made of straw, sticks, and brick. So here's the solution. What did he do? The wolf blew down the houses except for the one made of brick. And this particular graphic organizer adds a then. Then the pigs were safe and the wolf went hungry. Many of these stop with the somebody wanted but so. Main characters, what was going on? Problem, solution. This is another type of graphic organizer for problem solution. This one is not as difficult, but it has to match. It has to flow. And there's examples here. And I will put this, this also will go up on Blackboard. And any of this is fair game. You are welcome in to print these off to use for your own purposes. The last one that I have here is a Venn diagram. Venn diagrams, as you know, compare and contrast. If you are just going to contrast two things, so let's say you were going to contrast Ellen and Anne Marie, then you would use a T-chart. But a Venn diagram is a compare and contrast. Now, the one thing I want to talk to you about a Venn diagram here. Venn diagrams are traditionally two overlapping circles. Well, let's think about this. As long as two objects overlap, they don't have to be circles. For instance, if you wanted to use Anne Marie and Ellen for a Venn diagram comparing and contrasting, you could draw a Star of David for the Jewish population. You could draw a cross for the non-Jewish population as long as they intersect somewhere for the similarities. You could draw for a number of the stars. You could have a Nazi flag. You could have a Danish flag, as long as they cross somewhere to use for the comparison pieces. You have the contrast, you can use the comparison. For Venn diagrams, we need to start thinking out of the box a little bit so they match. Let's say let's go back to the three bears and the wolf. We could have a picture of a bear and a picture of a wolf. As long as they intersect, we have similarities and differences. We don't need to just have Venn diagrams for stories, two interlocking circles. We could do something as simple as, if we wanted to use Ellen and Anne Marie, we could have an E and an A, as long as there were places where they crossed over that we could put in comparisons. That's all we need to do. We need to think out of the box with these a little bit. Okay, so that's going through the graphic organizers, and I will put up another video talking some more about this, because I have some places in the book I want to talk about. So I will talk to you later.